Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today on this episode, let's talk about spinner baits that are very well suited for fall fishing. Now, I'm more so talking about like the late September, October time period where you're starting to see a little bit more of those first fronts that are coming through that are dumping a ton of rain. We just got a hurricane throughout the south. Places like North Carolina got hit really bad. We didn't get hit all that bad here, but we did get a lot of rain. And even if the conditions aren't cold or cooling, a rain during the fall, as long as you're starting to notice some trees starting to change, and then you get a rain, that can be a really good time to get way back into a creek where you get some stained or dirty water and start throwing a spinnerbait. Spinnerbaits are really good during the fall for a lot of reasons. Number one, you could fish it around cover, and a lot of fish are hanging around cover this time of year, and they're starting to move shallower. And the main reason why they're moving shallow is because the shad are starting to move into the backs of these creeks. You know, last year, I cut a check in each of the final opens fishing shallow, just shallow water power fishing. That's the style of fishing that I love. You know, I don't necessarily like being way off the bank staring at a screen all day. I really like to cast to visible cover. And a spinnerbait is just well suited for imitating those shad that are on the move and also coming through cover. But I don't just throw any spinnerbait, and that's what I wanted to talk about. I want to really be very careful this time of year to match the hatch completely. And what I mean by that, if you haven't heard that term before, is match the hatch is essentially just matching your presentation, your bait, to the size, profile, and color of the bait fish that you're seeing in an area that the fish are feeding on. And usually on a lot of the lakes down here, especially like Lake Chickamauga, for instance, you know, most of the shad, the threadfin shad that are moving into the backs of these creeks, they're pretty small. You know, they're really just kind of in this size class. And so I don't want to throw just a traditional sized spinnerbait. I want to downsize. I want to have a finesse style spinnerbait. And Z-Man came out with a series of spinnerbaits called Sling Blades. And at first they just had the traditional size, you know, Sling Blades spinnerbait, but then they came out with the Power Finesse version, which came in 1/4 ounce and 3/8 ounce versions, but they're much more compact than you know, traditional spinnerbait, and that's exactly what I'm looking for this time of year. You know, you've probably seen other videos of me talking about throwing like little swim baits, like the Z-Man minnows. Or, you know, downsizing with like a chatterbait mini max or something like that. Same type of principle with a spinnerbait, but a spinnerbait comes through cover way better. So like if there's a lot of laydowns in the back of a creek and that's where the fish are hanging, a spinnerbait is going to be a superior option in that type of scenario. So really you've got these two, you know, different blade combinations on the Power Finesse spinnerbait. One has a Colorado lead and an Indiana blade rear. And this one's a really good one for if you get into a creek that just had a fresh rain and it's really dirty back there, you know, where you need a little bit extra vibration. I'm not going to say that this is like my color of choice with this. Usually this is kind of backwards. So usually if the water's really dirty, really muddy, I'll use this blade combination with the Indiana in the back and then the Colorado on the front, but I'll have a white and chartreuse on that combination. And then if it's clearer, I might use the mouse rat color, which is real, you know, a real clear water type color with a double willow leaf blade. Okay, so these are the two different blade combinations. You got the Colorado, Indiana, or the double willow. Double willow is a really good one, just overall, if you have just lightly stained water and you're just looking to cover as much water as possible, or you need the spinnerbait to just move faster to get a reaction strike from them, and you're not really worried about maximum vibration or anything like that, that's when I like to throw the double willow. And then when it gets really dirty, again, that's when I'm going to be using this blade combination overall. But as far as the tackle I'm going to use, because these are such small little spinner baits, I like to throw a little bit lighter line. I'm usually using like 15-pound test Seaguar Red Label with these, and I'm going to be fishing them on like a 7-foot medium heavy Versus Series rod. And honestly, I used to fish spinnerbaits on pretty high speed gear ratio reels, or at least moderately high speed gear ratio reels. But nowadays I actually like to use a 6.6 to 1 gear ratio because I don't want to over reel these baits. So spinnerbaits, I generally will use a slower gear ratio. So anyways, just wanted to kind of share, you know, my ideas on what the perfect fall spinnerbait is. Again, I work with Z-Man. That's why I use the, you know, the Power Finesse sling blades. I highly recommend them because they are awesome. They have great components, great blade and color combinations. They're awesome. To me, they're perfect. But as long as you're downsizing your presentation to match exactly the type size bait fish that you're seeing, those big balls of shad. I'm not talking about the random gizzard shad that are moving up the bank that you see sometimes. I'm talking about like those big giant schools of shad that you see in the backs of these creeks. If you get it to exact size, shape, and color of those, you're probably going to have a lot more success. So if you're not getting bit with your reaction baits in the back of these creeks, definitely pay attention to the size. Size matters for sure. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions at all, or you want me to cover a topic on a future video, drop a comment below. And a great way to support this channel is to make sure that you hit that subscribe button and like and share the content with your friends. That is just a way to keep me motivated to keep doing content like this. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I'm going to see you out on the water. Trust the process, everyone.